Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I'm back with another video. In this video I'm going to be disassembling my built motor out of the Mazda 3. This is the motor that made 500 horsepower. Due to my fuel setup, I leaned out during one of my pulls and I ended up cracking a ring land. So unfortunately I had to pull the motor. Luckily I only have to replace the piston. The rest of the motor is fine. It actually still ran afterwards. It just ran on 3 cylinders. I'm going to be making a separate video about that. So this whole season, I actually did not have the built motor in my car. The whole season, I ran on a stock 2.5 that I got from the junkyard. I took my car to finalize my E85 tune, and that was the night that we made 520 wheel horsepower before we ran out of fuel. The issue was with the amount of fuel I was consuming, if I did not keep the gas topped off, then it would just start leaning out at like 6,000-7,000 RPM. Because of how the fuel tank is set up, that there's a sloshing issue. As you accelerate, all the weight transfers to the back, including the fuel, so it runs away from the pump. Unfortunately, we were having too much fun. Doing a pull and the piston let go. This was back in April. Mike at Red Mist was kind enough to let me use his lift and swap the motor at the shop there. We ended up retuning the car. On that tune, it made about 320 wheel horsepower. Super conservative, super safe. Obviously the motor lasted the whole season. This motor has been sitting in the shop. I've decided to rebuild it myself this winter.
So as I was saying, I would like to rebuild the motor myself. I want the experience, and I would like to have the motor completed by the time the season begins. In case anything happens to the stock block, I can just do a pop and swap. So without further ado, let's get started.
I have 3 out of the 4 engine stand arms being used. So these are 2 M10 by 1.50 bolts. This is like a blank, so I use the metric 8, and I think this is a 130 millimeter bolt. It was a little too long, so I had to use a couple spacers here, and then obviously a nut on the other side. The problem with this 4th arm here, there's not really a good spot to put it. The only spot to put it is right here into the oil pan, but obviously I have to take the oil pan off to disassemble a motor, so that's not going to work. So 3 should be fine, especially once you disassemble a motor. It's not going to be more than like 50 pounds on there. So, but the last time I built my motor, I left it for a very long time on 3 bolts and it held perfectly fine. So I've done sketchier things is what I'm trying to say. This is going to basically be like the ultimate yeet right here. Oh, this is kind of heavy, so I probably should get someone to help me. Don't try this at home. I don't want.
A few moments later.
I just pulled up my pants so you know I'm serious. And a 1 and a 2. Damn.
6.5 hours later.
Whew. I did it. Oh yeah. Oh man. It's a good thing I started going back to the gym. This little corner of the garage is basically going to be my workspace as I disassemble this. It's not the most ideal workspace, but for what I have in my garage, it's pretty much all I got right now. So So it's important to take both bolts out evenly. So I've broken this one loose. I'm gonna break this one loose, and then I'm gonna start backing each one out, but like a little bit at a time. Also, this giant ratcheting breaker bar from Harbor Freight is really cool. I think both of these can come out. So just give it a little yeet. Okay, so now this rod cap is kind of on there, so you're gonna kind of want to dislodge it. Really, the only way to dislodge it is with a rubber mallet. And did I get it? I feel it separating. Okay. So this will come out. We're just gonna have a quick look-see at what came out of the motor now that the motor is finished being disassembled. So obviously this is my piston number 4. As you can see, it is not circular anymore. There's a chunk missing, and here's the side profile. For comparison, here is the other side. Now luckily this is, so that's the only damage I know of so far. Here's the pickup tube, which I think I cleaned it out at this point. I did find some metal shavings in there. Obviously the head looks fine. Everything in the head is salvageable. Well, not even salvageable, but I can reuse the head perfectly fine. I can reuse all of these rods. So if we look at the rod bearings on cylinder number 4, or piston on rod number 4, sorry, looks decent. Let's look at number 3. Decent, no damage. And I already looked at number 1 and number 2. I'm not going to bore you guys, so those are decent. So now the next thing to examine, right, we've examined the head. So this post teardown examination is just really quick and dirty. I've already done most of it at least, right? So the head was already pulled off, already examined it. I mean, the head wasn't what was damaged, so that can easily be reused. There's no damage to it, right? So we'll see the crank, right, all the journals looking fine. And oh, what what's this? What? Hold on. Heck. Hello darkness, my old friend. When I initially pulled the motor out, I thought that I was gonna only have to replace the piston and I'd be good to go. It looks like some debris got through the oil pump, which makes sense because when I took the oil pickup up, when I removed the oil pickup, I found bits of ring in there. I guess something small enough made it through into the oil pump, just enough to, you know, scratch that main journal. Probably gonna need a new oil pump too, just for peace of mind, because I don't know what's in there, and I don't think, I've looked at it and I don't think I could take it apart. This is the metal transfer, right? So when the piston got too hot, some of it melted, so some of it just went into the oil, and then some of it, you know, melted and transferred onto the cylinder wall itself. After making a bunch of passes with the hone, it actually, we thought that it was going to be, the hone was going to be able to take it out, but it doesn't look like it's going to be able to. There is not enough material on this block to bore it out any. So long story short, I need a new block, right? So I need to get the crank turn. That's about $100, $150. I called a couple local machine shops. That's what they quoted me. Long story short, I need a new block regardless. So before I was debating on whether or not I should get a new block, because I'd rather just reuse this one since it was already machined and blah, blah, blah. But with the cylinder being honed and the material not coming out, I can't bore it out anymore, so I need a new block. Like that's the long story short, right? But a new block is only $300-400 from LKQ, and then all I need is a new set of main bearings, a new piston, and I'm back in business. My plan is to keep the built motor, which I will make a video about. We're gonna assemble the built motor. I'm going to make a video about it. I'm gonna keep it on the stand and run the stock 2.5 until it blows. With all that being said, that's all I have for this video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later.